It's an art journal process video today, and I'm back in my junk journal for a page of acrylic paint layers and a bit of collage and some raggedy pen work. So let's get stuck in. Unusually for me, I'm starting on a clean page. I know, what's that about? One of those rare clean pages that I haven't already covered with bits of leftover paint, but that is because I am now covering the page with, yep, you guessed it, leftover bits of paint. It's some watered down acrylic paint, and I hadn't intended to go anywhere with this page today. I just wanted somewhere to dump the paint, as you know I hate waste. But as you can probably guess, because you're watching the results, my plans changed and this page kept on developing all in one session. I think it just didn't want to be left alone. Do you get pages like that? Let me give you some context. I put aside a day last week to film 4 projects that were going to be very focused, technique-driven projects that I thought you might enjoy, about some new techniques that I've been working on recently. And also I had a couple of films lined up using some techniques that I've already shared recently, and I just wanted to give you some inspiration on how to use them. Well, that was the plan when I started the day, but the day did not unfold like that. By the way, I don't know if you can see it, but in that top right-hand corner, I've got a cup of water, and every now and then, I'm dipping my finger in the water to loosen up the paint a little. I mean, that's another thing I hadn't intended, using my finger to spread the paint. I was going to use that brush that you can see on the screen, but as my finger was already covered with that purple soft body paint that had spilled over the neck of the tube, I thought, well, I might as well just carry on with my finger. By now, I was starting to realise that I was having a day of unintended art, and decided that the best thing to do was not to fight it and just lean into it and see where it took me. I mean, those other videos could just be made on some other day, right? Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you haven't already, so that you don't miss them when they do get done. So none of what you are seeing now on this page was intended. So what's driving it? I mean, that's the question, isn't it? What drives you to add something to your art journal page? Is it a feeling or a conscious decision? Or maybe it's a mix of things. Yeah, I've told you before that I tend to overthink things, don't I? Well, it's not just the art that I overthink, it's the whole creative process too. I can tell you where some of the decisions for this page came from. For example, I added that washi tape because there was a big old rip in the page that was just annoying me. Then once I added one piece, I decided to counterbalance it with another piece in the opposite corner. Then it just seemed right to add a different tape for some more texture. And because I rarely like adding washi tape to a page without gluing it down with gel or medium, I added the paint texture on top to keep it all in place. So pretty practical decisions really, but that's okay, it's totally worked, or at least in my eyes it has. You might think differently and that's fine if you do. Now I can't tell you where some of the other decisions about this page came from. Like, why did I add the old book pages? That was more just a feeling. I felt it would work out okay. I can only really describe it as a sense of fitting, like the calm that comes from knowing that you have found a solution to something that's been bugging you. Does that make sense? That's how it feels to me, but perhaps how it feels to you when you work on your art is different. I would love to know, so if you feel like sharing, do let me know in the comments. I warn you though, if this is the first time that you've tried to put those kind of feelings into words, it can be quite difficult. Well, okay, maybe it's just me who finds it difficult, I don't know. As I'm not a words person, maybe you'll find it easy. But it was a lot harder for me than just saying that the page was ripped and it was annoying me, so I taped it up. But it's definitely worth thinking about. Even if you don't share it with me here today, promise me that when you next work on your art, that you will have a think about it, explore the feelings you have when something works on the page or something doesn't work on the page. And I'm sure I've probably mentioned this before, but being able to recognise those feelings more, you can learn to trust them and listen to them, and it will all help your art develop and your own unique style and voice to shine through, and also help cut down on some of that indecisive overthinking. Well, that's what I'm hoping for anyway. It's all down to practice. I try to practice both the practical deadline hitting approach and the more intuitive, hard to describe to another person kind of stuff. I find the practical side a lot easier, as perhaps you've probably guessed from some of my videos and when I've talked about this subject before. But I'm learning to train myself to listen and trust that nicer inner voice more, the one that tells you when something is working, not the one that tells you that everything you do is rubbish. Don't listen to that one. That one is wrong, very, very wrong. Now I have two black Posca pens on the go at the moment. One that I've kind of gummed up the nib with some paint and it's not working so well, and the other that's flowing a lot better, and I think I actually grabbed the gummed up one on this. Yeah, it's a bit frustrating. I really should replace the nib. I just keep putting it down and then forgetting which one it is out of those two. So this was another unintended result. The drawing came out a lot more rugged and raggedy than I was expecting. And I also got a little bit fed up with the pen, so I just decided to flick it over the page. But I actually really love how it turned out. I'm so glad that my unintended page worked out. One reason is because if it hadn't worked out well, then we wouldn't have had a video today. And maybe that's what I should call this one. Unintended page? What do you think? So I still haven't done the work that I intended to do on this filming session. It's been bumped to my next video filming day, but don't worry, you will see it. I hope you enjoyed where this art took me today. Please do like the video if you did. And I hope that it has filled you up with lots of inspiration to have a cracking next art session and go and try and figure out what that nice inner voice is saying to you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will catch up with you again on Wednesday.